Here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and now we have over 100 clients. And we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 4 different TV studios with a staff of over 20. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Welcome to my show, and I'm absolutely delighted to have in studio Valerie Freeman. She is a legend. You really are. She's the CEO and founder of the Texas-based Imprimis Group. Thank you for being on the show.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Well, you and we actually met a couple weeks ago at Success North Dallas. You gave an amazing speech.
Well, thank you.
And really took us through a journey of trailblazing. Let's talk about the Imprimis Group first. It's one of the largest independently owned staffing companies in the state of Texas. Is that right?
Well, we think so, based on what we know. Right. We started back in 1982, and now we have 4 separate divisions that each do something a little bit differently, specialized staffing in different areas: IT, marketing and creative, finance and accounting, administrative. And within those divisions, we do a lot of different types of services as well, some consulting, project management, and so on. So it's very diverse, and we have grown it from during all those years.
Wow. Well, as I do my show prep, one of the first things I do is I go to YouTube and I just put in the guest's name. And there's a bunch of videos, but I found a special one, and I'm going to surprise you because you probably haven't seen this in several years. You won an award, and this is a 2015 award. I should tell you that if I started to list her awards, I would run out of time on the show. But let's go ahead and roll this tape.
I'm Valerie Freeman, native Texan. I'm the founder and CEO of Imprimis Group, BravoTech, Freeman+Leonard, and one of the founders of Answer Team LLC, Texas Women Ventures Fund, and PrimeWomen.com. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, primarily in the business of talent acquisition, and that's allowed me to grow a number of national and regional companies. I mentor women business owners and women managers who are involved in the professional organizations of which I'm a member. I put together programs with speakers who address career issues. I currently serve on the advisory board of Front Door Fashion, a unique technology-enabled business created from scratch by 2 young women who are making a name for themselves in this niche. Anything I can do to help women move into leadership positions.
Valerie has a very strong work ethic, which she projects not only to her own company and their employees, but also to the organization she volunteers for. She held our board members accountable for their oversight responsibilities. She has a huge circle of influence, and she actively participates in many causes, most of which work for the betterment of girls and women.
Through starting businesses over the years, I became passionate about women business ownership and the struggles we face in growing a business. Several of my businesses were technology related, so I have experienced the lack of women in tech jobs and the difficulties they face at work. As an entrepreneur, I had to overcome lack of capital, lack of expert advice, lack of credibility, and lack of opportunity as a female. There was a time when a male applicant for a sales position with my company told my recruiter that he didn't want to work for a woman. And there was a time when a male speaker at a sales conference told the audience that he hired women in sales because they worked much harder and you could pay them much less. I was inspired by those trailblazing women who faced even more obstacles than I did. Ebby Halliday, who built such a fabulous real estate empire, and Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson, who was just a fabulous senator. I was inspired by their thoughtfulness and their diplomacy. I also was inspired by the vision of the women who started the Dallas Women's Foundation. They taught me that with vision and an audacious goal, anything can be accomplished and change can happen.
When I think of Valerie as a leader, I think of someone who is compassionate, strong, and entrepreneurial. She has a heart the size of Texas. She keeps the mission at the core of what she is wanting to do and hoping to accomplish. But she is very strong. She sets a course and she makes sure that course is on target to make it happen.
In all of my endeavors, leadership opportunities have changed for the better. My hope for the future is that women truly have equal opportunity. I'm Valerie Freeman. Strong women, better world. Oh my, I forgot all about that.
You didn't know I was going to run that.
No, I did not.
I didn't ask your permission first because I think you would be embarrassed if I did. But no, just that gave me even a greater appreciation. I heard you speak, and you're very compelling. But that gave me even a more of a perspective and appreciation for the journey that you've walked. And I have to say that it seems like all of that trailblazing that you did has come to a tipping point, because as a society now, everything has changed, hasn't it?
Yes, it really has. I mean, I look at statistics a lot about women and women in technology and other fields, and sometimes it's a little depressing to think that there's so longer way to go, but then I see all the positive things that I have seen and experienced myself, and I get all excited again, because women today have a lot more opportunity than I had when I started, and I just love to see that. And every day I read about, this woman is now the first CEO of this company, or the first CEO of that company, or the first board of director of this company. And I read that a lot, and it just gives me a lot of motivation to continue to help and to promote women who have talent.
I love that. One of my favorite expressions is lift as you climb, and I think you've always done that, haven't you?
I think it's part of, when I first graduated out of graduate school, I thought I would be a college professor. And I was for about 7 years, and I just think that whole teaching mentality of helping people just never left me. I just used it in different ways.
Well, tell us about kind of the early days. When you're breaking in, what was it like?
Well, it was very, I guess, motivating and inspiring, because I could come to work every day and decide what I wanted to do. And I got a lot of help from the community, primarily for women, but some men as well, that really wanted to help me and that needed my services and would help me to be able to do business with their companies. But on the other hand, it was a big struggle to even get a line of credit.
Really?
Yes, and I had wonderful receivables from reputable companies. And finally, I had to take my male CPA with me to he took me to his bank and sat there and did all the talking.
Wow.
And was able to convince his banker to give me a line of credit. That's how difficult it was back then for women, because we didn't have any credibility. And there weren't that many of us, actually. So there were our stalwarts like Mary Kay and Evie Halliday, but somehow, even though we looked at them as role models, we couldn't really see ourselves in that role, because we were just starting out. Because most of the women, if you look back in the late 70s, early 80s, that's when most of the women like me started our businesses. There was a big movement because we had capability, we had education, but we weren't getting hired in corporations for anything other than lower level jobs. And so we said, well, the heck with this, we're just going to go out and start our own businesses. And so I was able to interact with a lot of those women through a group called the National Association of Women Business Owners. We supported each other, we helped each other, and we grew together.
Wow. Now, as the head of a major staffing company, do you experience any discrimination in the market? I mean, a male candidate is paid this and a female candidate is paid this. What's your experience?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't say so much now, because there's so much emphasis on equal pay, And it's easy to have equal pay for equal jobs. It's pretty easy to see that. But, when you're hiring somebody in any job and they have different levels of experience, then that's where the discrimination comes. Because then, even if they're equal to the male employees in performance, they're still behind because they've started out at a lower rate because of their experience.
Well, let's talk about women in tech specifically, because
Yes.
are enough women interested in tech? Are they going into the colleges? Are they getting the degrees? Or is there still a gap?
There's still a gap in some areas. I would say, depending on the kind of technology, we're probably about 20% of the women in tech. Although in some technical jobs like animation, which is very technically oriented, they're probably 60% of the applicants for college, or the actual students are women. So it really sort of depends on that. There's a lot of women going into cybersecurity and digital transformation. Not so much in programming.
Wow. Well, you do have a who's list of awards, but I want to recognize one specifically. The Dallas Business Journal just named you Women in Tech Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
And I think we've got there you are in the DBJ. What was that like?
That was amazing because that was a total surprise to me. This was the first one, and I know that my colleagues at the Alliance of Technology and Women probably had something to do with that. So somebody came up with that award, and then they chose me, and I went, wow, this is great.
Well, what's next for you? Are there other mountains that you're wanting to climb?
Well, I feel like you talk about the tipping point for me is the fact that, I now have great people running my companies. And that allows me to give back more than I could in the past. And I like that part of it because it's part of what I like to do and what I'm good at, and also allows me to still have a hand in the business. And then my latest venture is Prime Women Media, and it's all the content for women over 50. And we just bought one of our largest competitors, and that's really propelled us into a different world of media, and I'm really excited about that venture right now.
Well, I want to ask you a question. I promised myself I wouldn't ask the Barbara Walters, if you could be a tree, what kind of tree would you be? But one of the classic questions is, what do you want on your headstone? How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered after this is all over?
Somebody who overcame just about every obstacle put in her way as she started and grew businesses, and also, in addition to that, was able to make a difference in the community with not only women, but all people that need help.
Wonderful, wonderful. And if people want to get in touch with you, they can go to your website, which is?
Yes. It's Imprimis.com. Or Freeman+Leonard.com, or BravoTech.com, or AnswerTeam.com.
You can Google her. She's all over the place. You will find her.
You can get in touch with me. I'm pretty easy to find.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This was such an honor having you on the show. I hope you'll come back.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I'd be happy to.
All right. That's
Appreciate
it for now. We'll see you next time.